I kind of wanted to bring something up to the board's attention, and hopefully that you'll share my dismay and just a little bit of outrage. I received a list that was published by the Willington Democrat Town Committee concerning the referendum that was just held. And it was more or less an enemies list that was put out. The title was misleading. It's concerning contract rejection petition circulars and signers. And what was done apparently was that all of the people that signed the petitions to have a referendum or to bring the town meeting to a referendum vote were put on this list. And apparently it was propagated to, I'm going to say the fact that it was done to intimidate people from signing referendums. And I can tell you that when I received the petition, the person that gave it to me was actually very nervous because, his name is on the list. Now wondering whether he should have done that because certainly didn't want any notoriety. I said it's public information. I think the fact that the Democrats deliberately misled people by putting a deliberately misleading title on there, since the petition was strictly to bring it to a referendum vote, which I assume that they're for being inclusive and allowing more people to vote on an issue as important as this. I may be wrong. Maybe they didn't want the only one the right people to vote. But the problem being is that and I'm going to tell you what happened. I was asked to sign it when I was down at Phelps Plaza. Person that asked me to sign it didn't know who I was. And they were very polite and very factual. They said, we're trying to get a petition of over 200 people so that we can bring the town meeting. He asked me if I knew about the town meeting, and I said yes. And he wanted to know if I would sign a petition so that it would go to a referendum vote. Because it doesn't mean whether you endorse it or don't endorse it. We're strictly asking that it go to a vote. And if he gave, and I was aware of what was going on. If he said anything that was misleading or incorrect, I would have told him. And I'm not shy about those things. But everything he said was very, very factual and very correct. So I said, yeah, I'll sign it for you. If you want to bring the referendum, no problem. I particularly didn't agree with it. I voted no on the referendum. Because this is the environment we live in, is that I think that was probably the best deal that we were going to get. I think maybe it's probably they went through the same deliberations that you guys did when we were discussing it. Didn't like the fact that that was the answer, but overall that was probably the answer that needed to come out. And what I see of this is, and I'm hoping that you would condemn something like this, because this was not a contract. This was not a petition to reject the contract. This was a petition simply to bring it to more people to allow them to vote. And this is nothing but strictly voter intimidation, so their names will be put up here. And the funny thing was, I said to the guy, I said, no, they're not going to create an enemies list out of this. If I sign this petition, I'm not going to find my name on some list that's passed out. And he said, oh, no, they would never do that. And sure enough, the day of the vote, this comes to me. And it's, maybe...
Just for clarification, Christina, the list only went to members of the Willington Democratic Town Committee. Well, it went to nobody else.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I find that really hard to believe, because I would never see why you would say, paid for by the Willington Democrat Town Committee, Wayne Knight Treasurer, on the bottom of a piece of paper.
And
that you're just going to pass out to the town committee
the
members.
Distribution list if you'd like to see it.
So,
okay, I don't know how you.
So I have no idea what John's agenda is here.
I know,
but we had people on the committee asking for a list of the names, so a list of the names was put together.
So they can get
and it was
phone
given
calls.
to.
People can receive phone calls.
It was given to the members.
Asking why and trying to silence them for future type of reference.
I just want to understand, this list was actually circulated prior to the referendum?
The PTA took the list, circulated it, and they were calling people on the list that had signed the petition, as far as I heard.
So people signed a petition, and then they most likely got a phone call?
From what I've heard, yeah, some people got phone calls, which had nothing to do with the Democratic Town Committee.
It would be one thing to photocopy the petition, because anybody can go into the town clerk's office and get that. That's public information. I think, Peter, you even got it, just to know who to call to get quotes and things like that. But and I think people know, or should know, when they sign a petition that it is public information, and I hope nobody was told that it wasn't.
Yeah, they typically do. but they don't expect it to be put out by an organization that deliberately has deliberately misleading title to it.
Was this meant to be this list was prepared obviously by the Democrats? Was it meant to stay internal to the Democratic?
It stayed internal as far as I know.
Well, how did I get it to stay internal?
I have no idea.
How did you said the PTA was
The people at the PTA made calls on it.
PTA distributed the names on the petition list, as far as I know.
using this list here?
No, they did it before. This list was done after that. So, I can, like I said, I can show you the distribution list. How it ended up in John Patton's hands, I have no idea, because it only went to the town committee.
And I got to tell you, I didn't go looking for it. This just came to me.
I can believe that.
Well, I can
it
I
came
can
to
believe that
me.
too, because the same thing happened here. I got a copy of the list without going out and asking, and I hate to say this, but I kind of got to agree with John that there's a creepiness factor here. That,
Well, it's a list of the names. That's all it is.
But the title's misleading. You know why you put that list out, was to intimidate people who signed.
No, the list only went to the Democratic Town Committee for informational purposes, because there were people on the committee that wanted to know who signed the petition. Because some of them had heard...
Why would you put a title like that? Why would you title the thing?
Because that's what the referendum was for, was to reject the
That's
contract.
what the petition was for.
Mark, wouldn't you agree that if people wanted to know who did the petition, they could just go and see it, get a copy of the petition of the town?
Well, yeah, but you know how town committees work. You know how groups work.
That's why they put out crap like that.
Well, my concern was, whether it was, there's obviously no, I don't think, any type of...
Well,
the problem I have is I have a ethical issue with the title of it, the top of it.
Right.
And it does, listen, it walks like a duck. It's got a
The state
it's
statute...
an impression of being a hit list. There's no question about it.
Tyler, the state statute says that the referendum can only be called to reject the contract. So it's a referendum to reject the contract.
No.
Let's call it what it is.
But you didn't call it that. What you called it was...
But, this is all irrelevant, because
you called it a contract
that he ended up...
circulars and signers, which if you said it was the first one, and when the 25 people signed, you could probably have a colorful argument that that's what that was for. This petition that these people signed was strictly to bring that vote to a referendum. That's all that was. That's all the question that was asked. That's all the people signed for. They didn't sign for anything else.
And this was a list that only went to 20 people.
I don't care what it was. It was wrong.
That didn't go to you. Had nothing to do with you.
How did I get it?
I don't know.
Well,
I have absolutely no idea how you got it.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure, aside of, making us aware of it and your feelings, knowing, I don't know exactly your...
You can't do anything about it, but I'm hoping the fact that you guys can, as you condemned unnamed documents that went out, and apparently you were going to be the enforcer of any sort of documents that went out unsigned, that maybe... Well, it's signed, and it's,
And actually, Christina, the reason it has paid for by the Democratic Town Committee on the bottom, and because I sent it to 20 people, and you had said anything that goes out relating to this referendum, you wanted to see ownership on. That's why it's on there.
So it went out.
And the same thing with the email.
Circulated.
That it was circulated, John, is a different issue. That I put it together for my committee has nothing to do with you. It's none of your business.
Well, it is my business because somebody obviously gave it to me.
Well, then that's your problem.
And my name is on it. So, yeah, sure, it is my business.
Your name is on it. You signed the petition. That's public knowledge.
Yes, I did, but I didn't sign the petition that you stated it was.
Well, that's your opinion. That's not my opinion.
But it's a fact.
If there was a huge interest in finding out who actually signed the petition, they could have come to the town clerk's office and certainly looked at it.
Well, some of them work during the day and they can't.
Is this just the people who signed the second petition, or is it all of them?
I sent out both petitions.
Okay, so they're all commingled in here?
No, I sent out the name. I did the same exact thing with this for the first petition.
You were on
In hindsight,
And I sent it to the town committee.
would it have been a better idea to just simply create a PDF on the original petition and circulate that instead of... See, somebody spent a lot of time typing this thing up.
I was trying to go through it and read it to find out who they were. If, the copy that I had.
Come on.
Why would I want anything to do with these people? A hit list for what?
You nominated one of the circulators.
All right. Look, so
You've nominated him for the Board of Finance.
So the The fact of the matter is that the second petition, the actual call on it was to request that the item in the call of the town meeting to be held on 11/3/10 in the town of Willington be submitted to those persons qualified to vote in such meeting at a referendum. That's what the question is.
That's what it said. That's a fact.
So he's right that it is a little misleading to anyone who doesn't know that. And I think that's why on every single page of the petition you have to have the actual question on the top. And that's why the town clerk
that's the petition
come in
said.
that way so the people
That's what
signing
the petition said. That's what people signed.
People's names know what the question was that they were signing for. So I think that's right.
Again, this is an internal document to the Willington Democratic Town Committee. And as I said, I can show you the distribution list if you want to see it.
I can show you. I'm on the distribution list because I got a copy of it.
Well, that'd be news to me, John, but I don't disbelieve that it ended up in your hands.
And I'm not the only one that got a copy of it.
I don't
I
doubt
think
that
it's
at all.
probably usual to think that somebody might have seen a friend on here or something and said, wow, I would imagine that they would sign this, and then ask them about it, and then printed it out, and then somehow that person saw someone else's name, and
You might even have a colorful argument
kind of
if you put the correct title on there.
Kind of interesting, Christina, because we had an internal discussion in email between the executive board about whether it would be reasonable to distribute a list, broadcast it, town-wide to an email list, and that was shot down.
So obviously you knew it was wrong.
So within that discussion, there was a continuation of, well, we would like to see the names in the list.
Right.
Okay, so the names of the list, the way it's presented here, was strictly for the Democratic Town Committee. It was strictly internal. It had no intention of going beyond that. If somebody on the committee distributed it beyond the committee, then that's my problem. Okay, it's not your problem.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I think where you were going with it is that there's not much that we can do. I can't think of what.
No, there's not. I mean, there's when the petition first came out, there was, a good chunk of these people I personally know that I would,
There's one of our town committee members that signed a petition.
I guess it depends, what type of person. I wouldn't think of, these are my friends, I wouldn't think to call them and trying to display them.
Yeah, we didn't.
There was a couple former first selectmen that signed that petition.
There's a Democratic Town Committee member that signed it. So.
And again, the title is misleading. It's wrong. It's not misleading. It's just wrong.
Yeah, the title has the thing. There's a Republican Town Committee member that signed it too, and his
the Republican Town Committee was that led the charge.
Well, there was a Republican Town Committee member who was opposed to the issue that signed it. And he told me his reason was because he figured if it went to a referendum, there'd be a better chance of it being shot down than if it went to town meeting, which I agree with him. So you don't know why people signed it,
Yeah.
Right.
No, I heard all kinds of different reasons. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess the point is, no matter why they signed it, they're still our friends and they're still our neighbors. So we just have to respect that. Everyone has the right to sign it. Everyone has the right to circulate it, and everybody has the right to vote it when it came down to it. And that's what we need to focus on move on from here.
And they don't want to try to be intimidating.
Well,
What do you call this, John?
People are signing this list. That's what he said that the town workers are going to get a raise out of this too. I said, no. And this is the person that was carrying the petition said, oh yeah, they're going to get a raise out of this if you don't sign it. And this misleading.
Oh, I do concur with that. I heard several. I should say I received several questions for clarification of things that people heard along the entire journey of this whole thing.
Right. That's why they signed it.
We're not responsible for what someone tells someone that misunderstands what that someone said. We can't control that. All we can do is try to get the facts out there, and that's all we try to do every step along the line.
Right, but they were out there misrepresenting what the whole referendum was for.
Yeah.
Well, he was your Board of Finance guy that started it. So why didn't you straighten him out?
It's not mine.
You endorsed him. He was on your line. He just got elected last year.
I can't affect the way people vote in this town, so that's not my problem.
Okay, well, let's move on. Anybody else have any other topics to discuss today?